Hi, friends. This is the best of episodes 1 through 5 of the Verbal Sex with AndrewX. I did this so that those of you without the hours in your day to dedicate to listening to the podcast can check out the best bits of the podcast, all in one compact form, sort of the Reader's Digest version, if you will, only not crappy. Or if you want to share this, and thank you for sharing this, those of you that have, sharing this with a friend, think they might be into it, this might be a good one to send their way because it's a overview of some of the things that we've done on the podcast. And without further ado, to get to the podcast, go ahead and check out Verbal Sex with AndrewX on iTunes or on YouTube. Or you can go directly to the website www.bloodbidet.com/AndrewX/podcast. That is www.bloodbidet.com/AndrewX/podcast. Even as I sat here almost doing it, I almost didn't do it. I've got this guy living in my head. Tells me to do stuff. Or actually, he tells me not to do stuff. Or he makes me feel like I shouldn't, you know? Like, going into this, I was like, oh, it's going to be hard. That's what he tells me. He tells me this shit's going to be hard. I'm going to have to think of things. Wouldn't you just rather just fucking sit here? No, I wouldn't rather just fucking sit here. That's been my whole fucking problem, right? But I am stoked on this fucking podcast. You know why? Because that fucking fucker in my head is telling me that I shouldn't be. So I am. That's how I feel like I should take everything on, you know? Every fucking day, there's going to be that fucker in my head telling me that, oh my god, it's going to be fucking hard. Wouldn't you rather just buy the new fucking Dark Souls game and just play it for like 17 hours? Nonstop, fall asleep, come up, just do it all over? Fuck that. What's that going to get me? Podcasting is kind of hard. I've got that fucker in my head telling me that it's going to be hard. I sat here, and the reason it almost didn't happen was because I was sitting here. All my equipment worked, and I was sitting here fucking around with it. It was working, and I was just trying to figure out a way to have it work better. And who gives a fuck, you know? Like, it was working as good as it was going to work, and I just continued to fuck with it. I was like, no, dude, I could just sit here and fuck with the fucking sound input and use a different one, an optical one instead, and just, god damn it, I just hit record and started recording. That's this. Hello, guys. And now that I'm doing it, it's fucking awesome, you know? All those things that, you know, you feel like you have weighing over you that you've got to get taken care of, like, it's the same kind of thing when you've got that bill that you've had coming for fucking years, and it just keeps coming, and you never open the envelope, and it's just always sitting there, and you never pay it. And you never talk to them. They call, and you ignore the phone calls. It just keeps mounting and mounting. That collections letter you get, you know, you just keep ignoring it, and it just seems like this big insurmountable fucking task. And then if you just fucking call them, you realize that it's like not that hard to take care of. You don't owe them that much money, and all of a sudden it's easy, you know. You're not worried about getting your fucking power cut off all the time, and you're not worried about you don't have that stress, like, holding you down. And it was easy. And all that time you felt like you had this giant insurmountable thing just weighing on you. And you looked at the letter when it came and just threw it down like, oh. And then just wanted to forget about it, you know? And I've been guilty of doing that too. But it fucking sucks. And the thing about it is that it's not true. The thing is that the thing that you're so worried about is not this big insurmountable task. It's a bill, or it's a fucking podcast, or whatever, you know? And if you just take that first step, you'll find that it's so fucking easy. All that shit that you were worrying about, all you ever have to do for anything, to get anything done, is just take the first step. And in the case of doing something like this, it's like, replace getting bugged again by bill collectors with getting bugged by myself, by my conscience, for not doing the thing that I know I should be doing. And, you know, that's what you've got there. You know, I've got this fucking demon in my head that just keeps telling me that shit's hard and that I should just sit down and not do anything and all this shit. And everything I want to do from this point on in my life is just do everything I can to say fuck you to that fucking guy in my head, that fucking demon in my head that just keeps telling me that shit is impossible, that I'm never going to do it. It's all going to be pointless because it's not like you're going to be successful anyway. No one's ever going to listen to you. Blah, 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 blah. Fuck you. Hold on to your vocabulary vaginas. Grease them up. Strap on this Jimmy hat on your parathendical penises. Your linguistic libido is about to get rhetorically raped. Right in its adjectival anus. This is verbal sex with AndrewX. People have been asking me why I named it verbal sex, because I don't really talk about sex a lot, or at least I haven't yet.
No.
And, well, it's because, like, listening to this podcast is a lot like sex with AndrewX. Angry, sputtering, awkward, low quality, and it's probably over early due to technical difficulties.
I don't know at what point I started noticing this, but I'm, planting flowers in my garden and everything.
Uh-huh.
And plants are essentially just gigantic sex organs.
Right.
Like, that's what they do. Like, they're just
flowers.
Yeah, reproductive things that just...
They smell nice to attract stuff.
Yeah.
And that has stuff attached to it that it needs to reproduce or whatever.
They're just jizzing all over each other and just out there I mean, I guess they eat, but in a manner of speaking, but it's kind of like, phallic things, flourishing in your front yard.
Yeah, it's kind of like if people, women reproduce through their mouths, and then you just went jacking off through the streets, spraying it everywhere, and they're just like, oh, like with their mouths up like baby birds.
Yeah.
And just getting random women pregnant.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, that's what it's like.
It's like what the plant world's like.
It is. It's just a big fuck fest going on. God bless them. Yeah.
Oh, yeah. I love plants. Oh, yeah.
This young lady, I don't know why, but when the thing was over, after I spent $100 fucking on a dinner, we're walking out and we kiss. And she did the thing where she thought she was being hot and sexy, and she bit the shit out of my lip.
Oh yeah,
like wait till he gets a load of this. Like he's gonna, he's gonna love this. And really, it just fucking hurt. And I was really afraid that it was gonna leave a mark because it really felt, powerful. And then I'm trying not to embarrass her, but at the same time, I really wanted to stop, and not do that. And then she kind of latched onto my neck. And I don't tried to leave a mark, but I don't think she did. It was uncool though, and so that led to I don't know. We split at the parking lot, and then she sent me a text and gave me I don't know. Then we had an awkward phone call after that. Like what happened? What went wrong? Yeah.
Is that really an appropriate conversation after one date? What happened? What went wrong?
Where did we go wrong? Yeah. I don't know.
I mean, I assume that was initiated by her. I don't imagine you really endeavoring to make that kind of...
No, the conversation, no, hell no. No. She sent me a text. She said, I'm sorry that I'm overweight. I couldn't handle it, man. Well, she sucked, though. I mean, Yeah, it wasn't just... whatever. I mean, she was shitty. She did a couple... over the short time we went out to dinner and everything, she did a couple shitty things. And she was she was making fun of the waitress. Like the waitress was an airhead or something. And it was just very uncool. And it didn't... And I thought to myself, what the... fuck makes you so special? I won't go into details, but it's I asked her questions about her life, and she didn't have it going on, strong. She wasn't on the fast track.
Yeah, I mean, it's okay to be, there's no problem with being an overweight girl. I mean, most girls that are way too hung up on it. It doesn't bother me at all.
No.
You just can't be that and, really bitter about it.
Yeah. No, that wasn't my complaint about this chick, man.
Yeah,
it was, whatever. She was...
That was what she assumed your complaint was.
Yeah, and it was no, and what do you do? I mean, I don't know. So I told her, no. Listen, don't beat yourself up, but just know we're not compatible and, kind of thing or something like that. But really, it was there was a few times during dinner where I thought, man, I got to get the hell out of here.
When you're, you're talking about easy lives. Any of us live comparatively easy lives to someone in Afghanistan. But I mean, it's all relative. I mean, especially when you're a kid, and you're going through, and everything is absolutely brand new, and you've got, if you got some traumatic shit that happens, then if your life is just like super easy, and then all of a sudden like some Afghani style shit happens to you, like you go from living in Beverly Hills to like all of a sudden like a suicide bomber blows up, outside the.
That was a great 80s movie, by the way.
Yeah. Beverly Hills Bomber.
Beverly Hills
3.
Bomber 3.
Yeah.
My father's father, my grandpa, he grew up on a farm. The day started with getting the eggs out of the chicken coop for breakfast. You know what I mean? And
sure.
they lived off the farm. They weren't professional farmers. They just had a farm to feed themselves because they, and then Dad went to, my great-great-grandfather went to the sawmill or the whatever and cut down trees,
Gotcha.
See, we don't do anything like that anymore. I mean, for the most part. I mean, I get up, I sit in an office chair all day long. And even before that, I mean, I've got kind of a cush job now, but before that, like delivering pizzas, that's not a hard job,
Yeah.
I mean, none of that is like, I mean, if I wasn't so chubby, I wouldn't break a sweat doing it.
Yeah.
Like in that sense, I mean, we have to do so little to sustain
Yeah.
ourselves.
Oh, and we don't have to anymore. And the thing is that we can't. Like, not everybody can go and live off the land. If everybody that exists right now went and tried to, have their own farm and do that, we wouldn't be able to because there'd be nobody to build the shit that, makes the farm go because they'd all be working on their own farm.
Yeah.
Trying to feed themselves and.
Right. Yeah. We're talking about take it back to the Industrial Revolution or thereabouts, right?
Right.
Yeah. No, it's true.
So we've got all these, but we've got ass tons of people everywhere and they've all got that energy still, they all need to have done something their whole life and now their brains are evolving, not doing that. They're doing like, they're sitting in school,
Yes, and they're doing intangible things like what we're doing right now.
Right. Right.
Or
Exactly.
social media or whatever. I mean, it's like they're toiling on things that are near fruitless and they're they don't exist in the real world, in a lot of cases. But they're not making steel girders. Or whatever, you know what I mean?
Right, very few of them are, yeah.
Yeah.
We get the Chinese to do that for us. They've got enough people they can afford to lose them in the steel vats.
Fall in the steel vat. That's my, something that's very wrong with the United States economy is that we don't manufacture stuff anymore.
Oh, absolutely, yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, I'm not an economist, but it seems to me that we can't all be, IT people and massage therapists and nurses.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like, we can't just sell each other shit. We have to the people that patronize your business have to be able to buy them stuff. Yeah, they have to get the money somewhere, and it occurs to me that we don't build much anymore or whatever. I mean, I don't know anyone who goes to work at the mill.
No, we're a service-based economy now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which is not sustainable, man. You can't just provide services.
No, I don't think so. And I mean, it doesn't seem like to me. I'm no economist, but
exactly. Well, we can't just mow each other's lawns for a living,
right? Yeah, there's only a few guys in a city that can do that, and then they've got that job. And now, I mean,
now you have to have a bunch of people with lawns to make it work,
right?
Yeah, exactly.
But those people with lawns have to do something to keep those lawns,
right? Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I guess that's the nature of an economy and the division of labor, but nobody wakes up in the morning and says, what I'd really like to do today is sandblast the side of a ship.
Yeah. Well, maybe somebody does.
Maybe somebody,
some podunk motherfucker that's just like, I like sandblasters. Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
he's like,
right.
Gets others just,
That's true. That is true.
And those guys are out there. I mean, God bless them.
Yeah. They are. They're out there with the sandblast.
But I mean, there's not enough of them to do all the sandblasting or, equivalent jobs.
No.
And there's got to be a lot of people that are, that have to settle for those jobs that, either, honestly probably could do something better or, just,
oh, for sure.
Yeah.
Well, but they don't want to challenge themselves or have to look or, people do end up doing, for the most part, I think, what's in front of them. Like just kind of, I mean, I did almost, in my life, I've delivered pizzas, I've sold cars, and now I've worked at a bank, and that's pretty much the whole thing that I've done. I mean, that's the breadth and width of my experience. I considered working at a bank, but I didn't know anything about it. And then I had a friend who said, "Hey, would you be interested in?" And I said, "Yeah, I'll give that a try." And 3 years later or whatever, I'm a bank person or whatever. But I mean, it's not. I didn't seek it out. Like I was like, God, you know what I'd really like to do?
Right.
Work in a cheesy retail environment. And
no, and my day job is definitely not something I sought out to do either.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it's just.
So, and that's when I was younger and more idealistic. I mean, and maybe this is just a defeatism here, but when I was younger, I resented the idea that I would work at a job I wasn't passionate about. Like, why would I do that? You know what I mean?
Yeah, man, I still have that. I'm like,
I know,
every day. Like, I mean, I go to work and I do it and I get the check, but every day I've got to think about it that way. I've got to think about, like, man, okay, I'm going to get a paycheck in a couple weeks. It's going to be okay. It's only like, I only work 4 days a week. I can't fucking,
right.
This isn't fucking Nazi Germany. I'm not. Like,
I know.
And I'm like, but I have to tell myself that. But that's just me. Like, I've got that, like, I went fucking crazy, a few weeks ago, and I had a fucking meltdown, and I just started packing up the fucking house. I was ready to move out of here, and just
really,
I was like, I was screaming and yelling and shit. Like, it was bad, and it was just because for the past few years, I haven't been doing anything that I want to do. Mm-hmm. I've been sitting in this fucking job that I do. I work from home,
right?
Doing network shit for computers. In case anybody cares, I'm not going to talk about it much on the podcast, but
right.
Because it's boring as fuck. I've been sitting in a house, working from home in my house, getting off work, being in my house, making barely enough money to pay for this house, honestly, because it's fucking expensive. The electricity is retarded and, blah, 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 blah.
Yeah.
And, and I'm not doing anything. I was in a band for a while, and it was somebody else's band that wrote all the music, and I tried to contribute, and it ends up being a lot of drama. Yep. Like any band really ends up being.
Oh, yeah.
And it's just. Yeah. And I just fucking lost it, and I was like, hey, I'm not doing anything I want. And a lot of people, like those people from Bremerton that are willing to settle. Like, they're more willing to settle for something. They'd be like, what the fuck are you got bitching about? You're doing this easy, cake-ass job for, okay money, and...
Yeah.
What's your problem? And I'm like, my fucking problem is none of the energy I have in me is being expressed in any way.
Right.
And... I don't know how else to explain it, like that drive.
I like some parts of Christianity. It's so cliche to say, but I like some parts of Christianity, but there's just so much that's irreconcilable, Like, the Old Testament is full of, like, ethnic massacres, genocide.
And rules for when you get to keep your slave and how you get to keep their wife when they leave. And
that was another one. It's like, I heard it's not my phrase. I heard a scholar say, an intellectual on the topic say, and I hate smug atheists like YouTube people or whatever, but this guy was talking about how, he says it's one of the moral questions that's very easy to get right, and Christianity gets it wrong, and that's slavery. Like you don't have to be. It doesn't have to be a matter of divine wisdom. I mean, it's like the normal person can evaluate the practice of slavery, the institution of slavery, and find it to be wrong and inhumane. And yet the Bible didn't seem to be capable of doing that.
Right. And then the argument, for it is, it's like, well, that's the Old Testament, and you're not supposed to really take it literally because it was written in a time when that kind of thing was acceptable, and you've got to, like, look at it through the lens of the kind of person that would have lived there that day, and then apply that kind of logic to the life that you would live today in our society. And
Right.
But if you have to go that far to, like, try and justify what this shit says, you're not reading what this shit says. You're just like,
no.
You might as well be reading anything,
Exactly,
because you've twisted it so many times that you're.
Well, and I'm a moral. It's me, like my kind of foundation, my spiritual belief or whatever is based in moral absolutism. Like I think that that's kind of my evidence. Although it's not conclusive, but for me, it's my evidence that I think there is a God is because I think that there are universal. Laws of that aren't just laws of physics, but are moral, ethical laws. I believe that some things aren't relative, some things are absolute.
Yeah,
and to me, it doesn't make sense that in this time period, this moral absolute wasn't in play, but in this time period, it was.
Yeah, it's hard to tell because you can't really know for sure unless you had lived two lives and you could grow up and back then live a life and then grow up again now and then live, you know, knowing what you knew when, you know, back then, so you could compare. Really,
right,
that's the only way you could ever really know. But like, yeah. I mean, that's the fucking question of the century, isn't it? Or like of the ages, really.
I mean, I don't. Well, I mean, I think that, you know, in my opinion or whatever, you know, like, you know, I think rape is wrong. I mean, to use an obvious example, but I think rape is wrong, and I don't think that there's a circumstance in which rape is right. You know, I don't believe that if culturally, you know what I mean, it was a rite of passage or XYZ or whatever. I think that rape is wrong universally. Rape's wrong, even if everyone in the world thinks rape is right, it's still wrong.
But would you grow up thinking it was wrong if you grew up in a world where everyone thought it was right?
Well, maybe or maybe not, but it doesn't matter. What human beings' perception of right and wrong isn't as important as actual right and wrong. That's my case.
And things
are right or wrong without perception.
What I think the sticker is where it's causing suffering in somebody else.
Yeah,
you know what I mean.
Yeah,
because if you're doing something that causes suffering in somebody else, it's never going to be right.
You're right.
I mean, and pretty much everybody agrees with that for the most part. I mean, and there's religions out there that deviate and try to explain it, you know, another way. But even those are, you know, the basic kind of thing is, you know, don't do anything that upset or, you know, that harms somebody else.
Right.
You know, and that's what it mostly boils down to.
But why? But, you know, I mean, my beef with the kind of militant atheists that you see on YouTube, you know what I mean, is they'll say that, you know what I mean, but they can't reconcile why that's true, you know, because if we are just evolving organisms and there is no, you know, ultimate justice or real, you know, moral absolutes in the universe, then why would it be true that causing suffering is bad or wrong?
Well, because I mean, I think the very nature of suffering, you know, is tied with being, you know, with our definition of bad, you know, I mean, because that we are beings that know how to suffer and know what it's like to suffer and and we have a pretty good idea what might cause somebody else to suffer too, based on that. You know, that's where our morality comes from. Right. I mean, at least in my opinion. I mean, it's definitely a sort of existential question for sure.
It is, yeah, it is. Morality doesn't just exist between our ears. It's a force in the world that's real, whether or not we adhere to it or obey it. It's a real thing. It's a real force. That's kind of my belief.
Yeah, I think that maybe I don't think it just exists between our ears, but I think maybe it stems from what does collectively exist between everyone's ears.
That's why I disagree. That's exactly what I disagree with, because if, you know.
Well, I mean, okay, so assuming, because like I said, you know, I mean, I have a hard time thinking of what could be bad if nobody suffered over anything. You know, if everybody was happy about anything that happened to them in their life. You know,
right.
I have a hard time thinking of something that I could define as being bad in that context.
Yeah. Well,
so I mean, that said, I mean, we're born a certain way. You know, our instincts are, you know, develop a certain way to make sure that we do, you know, whatever they do that so far has got us to live this far as a species, you know, got us to make it this long as a species.
Right.
And, you know, in doing that, we've got some sort of, you know, traits that have evolved that, because I mean, if you look at other mammals, say, like if you compare us to dogs, dogs, rape.
Oh, absolutely.
That's all they do, right? I mean, there is no non-rape in the dog world, right?
Yeah,
right.
No, I believe you completely.
And they, you know, and
none of us would argue that was wrong either,
right? And the other thing is, and part of the reason because of that is because they can't communicate with each other like we can, you know, like
sure, but they know.
But all they know is that their dick feels weird and they want to shove it in that thing over there, and like,
right. But they also know that thing doesn't want their dick shoved in it.
Maybe.
I mean, in some cases, sure.
Yeah, maybe if they're like turning around and like, you know, then they, you know, they're like, get down, and then. But you know, but oftentimes it's just the female of the situation is just like,
yeah.
And if they didn't, if they're,
I think too, the females in a lot of species of animals, like the female fights them off, and therefore it's only the strong creature that's able to impregnate the female.
Right. And so, I mean, but if dogs grew up in a dog society where they could talk and they could, exchange specific ideas with each other and like ask questions and confirm and things like that, like we can,
right?
Would their brains evolve into some things with a morality? I mean, would they start thinking like, oh, would they feel bad? Would they have compassion for other dogs? So, like, when you drink alcohol, when you drink booze, your body treats it like a toxin. It starts releasing, it starts releasing enzymes to break it down, which then, so your liver can break it down with more antioxidants, but then in the meantime, it can't do that fast enough, so all the stuff that, it gets initially broken down to and alcohol go in your brain and start like slowing down all these processes and just killing brain cells and shit like that. It's bad. And that's what happens when you get drunk because, but when you get high on weed, your body's not treating cannabinoids like a toxin. You're stimulating receptors in your brain that are specifically for those chemicals. I mean, they're not specifically made for weed necessarily, like for cannabis, because you generate endocannabinoids in your body naturally. All animals do, but
sure.
But when you
believe you, I have no idea.
Yeah. I mean, I feel pretty confident saying this.
Right? No, sure. I'm sure you're right.
And but when you get high on cannabis, your body's not treating it like a toxin because it's not. I mean, the LD50, which for those of you who don't know, the lethal dose, it's the amount of something you would have to take to have a 50% chance of dying. That's the LD50 of any kind of substance.
Okay.
An LD50 of cannabis is something like 1,500 pounds of flour in 15 minutes is what you would have to take.
Gotcha.
To have a toxic dose of cannabinoids. And that's not because it's treating it like, you're just overwhelming your body with so much of something that it's,
Right.
Whereas with like alcohol or even with like something like less benign, like salt.
Yeah.
I mean, you eat like, I forget how much it is, like 3 pounds of salt an average person or something like that, and you're going to die.
No, I believe that. Well, I don't think...
Or 50 cups of coffee. I mean...
Right.
And that's doable.
Yeah.
I'm
sure I've come close.
And there's no way you could get close to a lethal dose of weed without passing out first. Like,
sure.
It's just not possible.
Well, no, yeah, I don't, my beef with ganja isn't its biological effects or you know what I mean? It isn't the health reasons, because I'm not I got no room to talk when it comes to health.
Yeah, neither do I, for sure.
So it isn't health. I mean, to me, that's a red herring. I mean, I think that.
Well, I mean, that is a big reason for a lot of people, though.
Is what that
it's bad for you, that it's killing your brain cells, and it's your. I mean, but go on.
Yeah, I don't know if I don't know necessarily that I think that's true. I don't know if that is the rallying cry against weed, is that it kills brain cells.
Or that it's bad for, I mean, I think a lot of people would assume it does.
Yeah, I think it's bad. I think it's bad for you,
How do you think it's bad?
I think it makes life worse. I do. I think it makes, in real general terms, I think it makes people's motivation lower. I think it makes I think they're more happy with less, or they're more happy with the status quo. I think they're just inebriated in the technical definition or whatever. I think their inhibitions are not inhibitions, but their ambitions maybe are lessened, and it's you know what I mean. It's just
I don't think it's true. I mean,
it might not be. I mean, and it has different effects on different people.
Well, I mean, a couple things. I mean, there's a couple different kinds of weed, right? I mean, you've got your indica and your sativas, and your indica is like, I mean, that's what you're talking about when you're talking about making people lazy. You're talking about something that may have more of a potential. If you're sitting on a couch and you smoke a joint of indica, you're going to continue to sit on that couch, or you're going to have a much higher chance of continuing to sit on that couch and play video games or whatever.
Right.
And unfortunately, or fortunately, depending on, different people react to different things different ways, but that's the biggest that's most of the weed that you get around the country because it grows the most weight per plant, per square foot. Indica, it's thicker. Whereas like a sativa, which is the much more cerebral, it picks you up. It makes you, think more. It makes you want to start watching documentaries and having those stoner conversations that are the other sort of stereotype of,
sure. Yeah. What if you could, yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
I didn't know that was true. I didn't even know that.
Yeah, so
There's two kinds of weeds. Do people buy one and not the other? Or
yes.
Do people?
Yes, very much.
I never heard that.
Never heard that. There's also, there's hybrids of the two, and they've also come up with strains that just have cannabinoids that deal with pain and don't get you high for people that are like, deal with chronic pain. Mm-hmm. They call it high CBD stuff, and, so yeah, there's that. So there's different kinds of weed, and most people that I know, most people that smoke weed prefer sativa in general because it doesn't couch lock you, is what they call it, couch lock.
Couch lock, okay.
And then even then indica, even if you smoke a joint of indica, not sitting on a couch, if you just do it right before you go on a hike, you're going to go on that hike and you're going to be on that fucking hike.
Right.
And it doesn't make those people lazy. If you have a propensity to be lazy already, you're going to be lazy regardless. True. Even if you didn't smoke that weed, you're probably going to sit on that couch regardless. You're not going to be like, well, I was going to waste the next year sitting here playing Minecraft all day.
Right.
But I can't get any weed, so I think I'm going to go out and get a degree.
Right.
It's like saying cars are bad because they make you waste all your money on putting stupid rims and exhaust and shit on your Honda Civic. You know what I mean?
I think that's a stretched analogy, though.
Or like buying stuff turns you into a hoarder. You know what I mean? Or like buying an iPad turns you into a sniveling Apple fanboy that spends all his time arguing with Android fans on comments and stuff.
Do you think that's true, though?
No, not at all.
No, I know. But do you think that is what it's like? Do you think that because? Yeah.
Well, yeah, that is definitely what it's like because.
Well, but smoking weed makes it alters your. It alters one's mood, right?
It can, yeah. It alters your mood. It'll alter some people it will, it sharpens your senses, narrows your focus. And so, depending on the weed you get, it can make things taste better.
Sure.
If you have some nausea or, if, something going on with your stomach, it can help you eat. Saying that it's bad or saying that, that it makes, is, there's thousands, there's been billions of people over thousands of years that would, disagree, I think.
Sure.
It's been used by medicine, various older cultures for...
Yeah.
Like mental medicine, for being introspective and, things like that. I think that... I think that the mind-altering drugs definitely have a place in being a good thing. I don't think it's necessarily being bad as... I think you can typecast not being sober or, quote-unquote sober as being bad all the time necessarily because I think... if you take cases like Ibogaine, you know what Ibogaine is? Mm-mm. It's a psychedelic. It's a hallucinogen. You get you high for quote unquote high for 36 hours, but they have Ibogaine clinics in all over the world, and not here because it's a Schedule 1 in America. But if you go to Canada or Mexico or something like that, you can go to an Ibogaine clinic to get off heroin. It has a 90% success rate in curing people's addiction to opiates.
Well, that's good.
But it gets you fucked up.
Right.
It makes you see shit that isn't there. And part of the whole reason it does that is because it puts you into sort of introspective state where you're really analyzing why the fuck you're on heroin. Not only does it get you over the withdrawal symptoms, which can be, which can be pretty shitty for someone that's in the wrong mental state.
Definitely.
Not to be able to take it or whatever. But but then it also helps them figure out why they were in that state, what in their life got them there to begin with, because it, rips open holes in their mind to see things that weren't, that they maybe couldn't see before because they were in a place in their brain that didn't allow those pathways to get to a healthy place because they're too busy in other areas of their brain that aren't.
Right.
Yeah.
So,
I think there's good good aspects to all of it, and I think
you can cite, you can find things that where, a mood-altering drug is better than not, I mean, I think you can find those examples, but I think in general, I do think it's a better, in my, in as much as my, I have the authority to, judge what is good and what is bad.
Yeah.
I think that the human being is better off sober than intoxicated.
Sure.
Well,
I mean, yeah, someone that smokes weed all day, every day, lots of people do and do it fine, but, that may not be the best way to live or whatever, but.
That's really and that's kind of what I'm talking about. I think that in some people, I mean, I've seen people that were substantially less lazy than me, you know what I mean? That were just the up and at 'em, go-getter stoners,
Yeah.
Although I think if I was a stoner, I would be substantially more lazy than even I am now, But, so I mean, sure. I mean, there could be exceptions, but I think in general, like,
yeah, but I'm not sure that's an exception. I mean, I don't think that most people that smoke weed are just sit around and like watch Netflix necessarily.
I think
most people that smoke weed do it not all day, every day, and do it responsibly, and do it when they want, and do it, when it's therapeutic, or
sure.
for whatever reason they want it,
those, yeah,
in
sure,
their life for.
Sure. I mean, I think it's a lot better to use weed the way, the same way, someone uses alcohol. I mean, I think it's a lot better to do it, at selective times and places, and not all the time. I think less is better than more. Yeah. So I mean, I wouldn't disagree with that, but it's just I think less is better than more because you think
bad. Zero is right, but
yeah, because I think zero is better than. And I accept that.
But I mean, there's all kinds of benefits, like for lots of people. I mean, nobody would be taking it if there wasn't, like if all it did was fuck up people's lives and not do anything else for them. I mean,
well, no, that's not true. I mean, if that was true, then you know what I mean. I mean, if that was true, then nobody would ever do stuff that's bad for you. You know what I mean? Like what?
Well, yeah.
Like there's not all sorts of benefits to methamphetamines, but there's lots of people that do it a lot.
Oh, but there's certain benefits to it.
That could be, but they're not.
I mean,
valid. I mean, they're not enough to justify.
I know people that have been prescribed it because they broke their neck and they had
prescribed methamphetamine.
Yeah.
Oh.
All kinds of crazy shit going on in the head, and they prescribed methamphetamine because that's, for some reason, I don't know, like, the pharmacology behind it or whatever, but for some reason that was what fixed them.
Yeah.
I mean,
that's such a bizarre one-off. I don't think.
I know it's a one-off, but I mean, but on the other hand, I mean, I've been prescribed Adderall for most of my life.
Yeah.
And, I mean, it's an amphetamine.
Right.
It's definitely it's a relative, and it's definitely helped.
It's good.
Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't have gone through high school without it. I mean, I wouldn't have.
I believe in Western medicine. I mean, it's one of my problems kind of with weed as a medicine, is that I find it hard to believe that Western medicine doesn't have a better version of weed, despite like Montel Williams saying he's got to smoke for his glaucoma or whatever. You know what I mean? Like, I find it hard to believe. I heard a story. It's just hearsay, but I knew someone who was all stoked because they had this like super raw THC pill that they were going to, like, a couple of these things that they had scored, and they were going to go out to the woods and get super high. And these things were designed, at least at some capacity, these were for the cancer patients to give them their appetite back. And these guys were stoners, but they went out, took the things, and were really hungry, and to their sense, they weren't high. Like, they were really let down because they weren't high, they only were hungry.
Yeah.
And because the Western medicine, we can do shit like that and solve, you know what I mean? But that isn't interesting to the stoner. I mean, the stoner wants to get high, and so my theory is that the stoner or the marijuana user likes doing marijuana and doesn't want to not do marijuana, and then the science and reasoning comes second. Like, then you build up your case for it because you know that you like it and want to do it.
Right. And anything that can be used as as an escape can be abused.
Here, yeah. No, I know. Yeah, no, that's it.
I mean, people can ruin their lives just, reading books.
Reading books. No, shit, yeah.
Yeah, just like buying books and not ever going to look for a job and just, sending yourself to the street because you can't get out of another world,
Absolutely true. Absolutely true.
But it's not the book's fault that the people are doing that. They're fucked up. They've got psychological issues behind.
Yeah, I hear that. Yeah, momentum is a key thing, isn't it? When you're trying to do things that are creative or whatever you call that. Like when you self-motivated, creating something, and with your own force of will, it can be really hard to do a good piece of work cold.
Yeah, and people can tell if you're doing it for somebody, particularly like.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
If I just did one of these and I didn't really want to, really didn't want to. I mean, I always want to. It's just one of those things where it's it's still kind of new to me, and it's not a part of my life anymore, or a part of my life like other things are, that I've been doing for longer. And so it's just at least right now, I feel like I have to give it a little more of a push to get myself to do it, even though I know it's something I want to do. But there's something in me that tells me what the fuck are you doing? That's not what you want to do. It's just the part of me that's used to not doing that or whatever. And now,
there's that thing where you have an idea, this would be a cool thing to do. I can almost picture how it would go, how good it would be, and you're thinking of it in its full actualization or whatever. Get the idea, and then from there to the point where you make the first move to actually make it real. That's where a lot of it, for most people, I think that's probably where a lot of it just drops off.
Yeah, because it never doesn't turn out exactly what you're thinking.
Just even physically moving, setting something up or sitting down and making those actual maneuvers and planning out a time and a place.
Yeah,
that's where a lot of people let it drop. But even once you've done that, then it can be just it's so cold and weird.
That's
one of through all that.
I think that's one of the things that working out has helped me do. Like I was saying, having that every day. I do that for an hour or two every day, depending on the day, and I've got that time that I set aside that I know that I'm consciously doing something to work to better myself.
Yeah,
but not necessarily that I want to do. It's fun to me now.
Yeah,
but it wasn't at first. It was this thing that I had to put. And if I have that thing that I can do, that makes it that I do that I'm I'm taking an active part in my own embetterment, or if that's even a word.
Yeah, it is now. That's a good one.
And it's just that carries on into other parts of my life. Where I've got that thing where I've seen results.
Yeah.
I've worked on something for a while and I've seen the results and I'm getting better at it, and that's more motivation. And when I've got something that I'm doing like that I can keep doing and keep that sort of mindset going with myself, then it helps other things. So this podcast would have been just an idea, I think, if I hadn't been starting to do that.
Yeah, fuck yeah, man! Creating a pattern of every day having an active will overcome the bullshit parts, what is that that thing that makes people give up before
the demons in their head telling them that.
Yeah, that's I think it's a simple thing though. It's maybe a confidence thing. Yeah, I always look at kind of dumb people, guys that are really smart and sensitive and probably kind, that can't get laid or hang out with women, right? They don't know how to talk to them. And then you look at some dopey fuck who's got nothing going on upstairs, probably not even that nice of a guy, who's always hanging around women, right?
Yeah,
it's this weird thing that they're so clueless that they don't realize that they have no sense of trepidation really about things. So people, I think you and me, I can identify with that feeling of you can see things from a lot of angles. You can kind of, you're sensitive and aware, and that can create a lot of opportunity for your mind to kind of tell you, you can start to lose confidence once you start seeing bigger picture,
Yeah.
Yeah.
And there's a lot that goes into that kind of thing, It's some people are just fucking, by society standards or whatever, gorgeous, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And they just get handed shit. And not even handed shit, just told that everything they do is good.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah.
Even when people don't think it is, it's just like,
or
wow.
they don't even notice or care really sometimes. I think some people, from the teenage years on, like kind of, they just get this, they're active and they're, whatever that is, socially kind of just, things are happening and they just never stop to really think about like what their motives are or whatever.
Yeah.
Enough to even be deterred from their ideas or impulses. But then they don't have a lot of ideas probably. Trying to do something like a podcast or make music or write stuff or be a writer or an artist or something or a painter. I'm sure these are things that, no one's gonna give you the time and space to do it. No one's gonna set you up and be like, all right, I can't wait to see what you've created.
Unless your parents have money. I guess if you have good parents, not necessarily rich parents, but, like really supportive growing up, that kind of thing where you've got parents that they don't have a certain idea that they want of you, that they want you to turn out as. They see what you are and they like nurture what it looks like you're good at or whatever, and they do it in a positive way or whatever. And that's, I think, a lot of what people don't have these days is,
Yeah.
I've gotten more out of, I don't feel comfortable calling myself a comedian, really, but.
You're a comic, dude. Of course you are. That's what you do.
Yeah, well, it is now, and if it has been for a few months at least. But people, and I'm not good at all. Anyway. The point is that is the point. I'm not good at it, but I've gotten so much more out of it in the past few months than I've gotten out of being a musician in the past few years.
I bet because you're fucking confronting something gnarly. Because it's really immediate when you're up there.
It's way different. It's. There's a lot of similarities, but as far as being on stage, I don't really have stage fright. Never really have. It's not people watching what I do.
Yeah, no, it's.
But when you're playing music, you almost always get some claps after a song, right? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Even if it sucks and they don't really like it, they're still kind of
common courtesy type shit.
But when you're not funny, people don't laugh.
Yeah,
and it's it's crickets, and it's just.
Live comedy works. It works because there's an audience and there's a comic and there's a rhythm, and then the audience has they're both vocal. You know what I mean? And that is brutal. Dude, it's brutal. I was just telling you when we first started about that one song I wrote, where when I start within the first line, I realized there's been a big mistake, but I have to finish it, and that is a brutal feeling. And I can imagine being up there with your material, your jokes, and you're not able to connect that shit. It's it's not just neutral. It's not it wasn't awesome. It was neutral. No, it wasn't awesome. It fucking.
It's a bad feeling.
I want to go away now. I'll see you guys later.
And that's and the reason I'm getting so much out of it, I think I was just thinking about this now, is that a lot of what I was doing with the music, it was kind of, especially with music, you kind of have to think of it that way. You have to think of it as a lot of what you're doing is a means to an end.
What's the end?
Well, playing shows, you know what I mean? Having a set, playing shows,
having material, basically, right?
Right. And it's not just writing, it's practicing and getting people together, and it's moving your equipment, every practice day. If you don't have a place, that you can just keep it and use it.
Yeah.
And it's all the shit associated with just getting the shit together so you can get it on stage. Whereas with comedy, you just get on stage. Yeah. And you're not really even working on stuff unless, you write.
Yeah.
But you don't know if it's going to work or not until you take it on stage, and then you got to rewrite it.
Practice is performance at the same time,
Yeah. And it's, to a certain extent, excuse me, to a certain extent, it's kind of that way with music where you get on stage and because songs sound different during practice than they do on stage. And, when you get on stage and you actually do it in front of people, it's okay, I can see that this part kind of sounds stupid.
It's like adding a new member to your band. Yeah, definitely.
But stupid parts of a song, get mixed in with the rest of it, and people, you're pretty much the only person that's not appreciating that. Maybe there's some people out there that, don't like that part of the song as much, but overall they're going to be like, oh, it's awesome.
Yeah, well, with music, there's so much more of a buffer between really great and just fucking cringeworthy. For a group or a band to make a room walk, basically, that would have to be to the point of painful. Whereas with comedy, it's either fucking funny or it's painful. There is no middle. There's no neutral.
There's a middle.
Where?
There's some funny guys. There's some kind of funny guys that aren't
Oh, I see what you're saying. They're mediocre, kind of funny.
Yeah, you watch it and you get the medium. That's the best I've ever got so far is the medium laugh.
Oh.
open mics or whatever.
Have you noticed like that certain crowds are better than others yet? Have you been?
It's hard for me to tell. I don't know if I've had that many crowds to know. I mean, I know that that's probably true, but.
Let's do your letter.
All right, yeah, I got the letter up here for sure. Now, it says, what's the best / easiest way for a fast food junkie, lazy, fat person to lose weight and get better nutrition? The whole prospect is intimidating, and are there baby steps that I can take? Is there anything as easy as the junk that I eat now? Signed, Anonymous.
All right, Kevin.
Well, let's break it down a little bit. I feel cheesy saying it, but I think the best and easiest are definitely opposites. I mean,
the best and the easiest are opposites.
Yeah, as far as getting healthy,
but isn't there like out of all the best things, there's got to be some that are more accessible to someone who hasn't?
Yes, no, I'm getting to that. But I want to say that like the best way to get healthy is to like actually eat healthy, which is not an easy thing to do for anybody to do because the amount of vegetables that you would have to eat. Just to get the amount of vegetables that you need every day. You know what I mean? Fresh
that's a lot
vegetables.
Of chewing. That's a lot of work.
It's a lot of work. It's a lot of preparing. It's a lot of time out of your day.
It's more than fucking just ordering food.
And it's not that varied. I mean, you can season it differently, but you're in the end you're just eating a bunch of green shit that tastes.
Now that you mention it, this
similar.
guy's got the same question I've had this whole time.
Yeah.
How the fuck do you eat healthy in this world?
So I was that lazy fat person. I've been a lot fatter, and it seemed pretty easy to me. What I did to start out with, at least, was juice. I made juice. I got a juicer, and that is easy if you have the equipment. That's the stipulation.
It's kind of a blender you get at Goodwill, right?
It's not just a blender. Shit. It's not just a blender. I mean, because you can do that. You can blend that shit. That's not easy because that's not easy to drink.
It's thick.
It's super. You're drinking like a vegetable slushy, which is not tasty. The idea with the juice is that it's easy to drink and it's easy to put together if you have the right equipment. The right equipment is basically like a few things you want to look at in like getting a juicer. You want the actual hole that you shove the vegetables in at the top to be big enough to handle like an apple whole.
A whole apple? What about the seed? You don't want to eat all that arsenic.
Oh, it doesn't come. You don't juice the seeds. It'll just come out into the pulp.
Oh, it knows? How does it know?
Well, it just like when it spins it around, it just kind of shoots out. There's not enough in the arsenic and apple seeds to really hurt you anyway. But but yeah, so that's the key to making it easy is the thing.
Yeah.
Because otherwise, if you get like just an $80 juicer like from Home Depot or something like that, you'll end up with one that you have to chop up all the vegetables and fruit and stuff into small pieces before you put it in there. That's a lot of work.
Well, hey man, like if you want to get somewhere in your life, you're gonna have to apply yourself. You can't just fuck around and have everything handed to you.
I could not agree more. But the fact is that when someone is eating shitty, what they're doing is they're probably. I mean, I don't know what this person does, but
they probably just don't devote time.
I'm guessing they go to the drive-through a lot.
Yeah.
Okay, so that's the ultimate expression of it.
And the microwave.
Of like eating being easy. You just get in your car, you sit there, someone brings food to your window, and you bring it back, and then you go sit and you eat it. And it's
really
crap.
salty. Salt, fat, and sugar. They say nature doesn't have anything that contains those three things in it. And that's why when someone does eat something that has those three things in it, their body flips out and they crave it.
It definitely get. Well, what happens is your body gets starts when you start giving it a certain kind of a diet on a regular basis. It starts releasing enzymes and creating an environment in your gut that's the best it can do. Yeah, that's the best it can do to deal with what you're giving it.
Yeah,
and it does that actually kind of quick. It'll only take like 4 or 5 days for that kind of shit to happen. But like when you're eating, and that's what why I say juicing is good and something easy, that you don't necessarily have to work so hard for it at the beginning can be good because when you're in the process of, or when you're in that state of having your body dealing with, shit like cheeseburgers from McDonald's and like just, bags of fucking pork rinds or Cheetos and fucking soda pop and
fucking
Taco
Bell
and
Sour Patch Kids,
just all the worst fucking food. Your body has set itself up to deal with that the best that it can, and then when you start giving it healthy food, it doesn't know what to do with it right away. So that's what puts a lot of people off because like
feel depleted for the first day or so.
Well, yeah, they don't feel full. Satisfied or hungry. You're still hungry, and
their blood sugar is probably all over the place too, right?
Exactly. So that's where people break, I think, the most is where their body's just not ready to give when they start eating right, and then they're like, they break and they say, "Fuck it, I'm giving what my body's asking for." Oh, yeah, that's better than cheeseburger.
It's that first push. You just got to make far enough through.
Yeah, so that's the thing that you really want to work on first. So you don't want to make it hard on yourself on top of that. That's so when you go and try and buy. So when someone goes and buys like an $80 juicer, they don't realize it entails all this work. We're like prepping this stuff, washing this stuff. I mean, you still have to wash this stuff, but there's things you can do to make it way easier. And first thing you can do is to buy the right equipment. Get one with big mouth on it so you can just shove apples in whole, shove like 4 or 5 carrots in at a time.
To reiterate, you want something with a big mouth so you can shove a lot of big stuff in it.
Yes. You want to shove big stuff into your hole.
Yeah.
And then make the juice come out.
Yeah.
So here's the idea. You get the juice, you make it, you go to Costco, you get the juicer, you go to Costco, you buy big bags of carrots, you buy big bags of celery, you buy big bags of kale, spinach, fucking anything that you want to put in there, fruits.
Yeah. The more colors, the better, they say, right?
Right. It's anything good. Yeah. Like, you don't want to just fill it up with like fruit because that's just a bunch of sugar, but you want to fill it up with a bunch of vegetables and then
you probably want some
throw a couple apples in there,
apples. Pears, right? Apples, they're good. They add a lot. A little bit adds a lot. Right?
Yeah, these things are actually pretty easy to clean. The thing about juicing is that if you get the right one, it's got a big mouth, it goes in, makes the juice, and then you just pull it apart. It's like 6 or 7 different parts that you just kind of hose off, and then it's done. And they all come with brushes to clean off a little grate or whatever. But
you got to do it every time, otherwise you get fruit flies.
Yeah, you got to do it every time, but it takes seriously just like a couple.
Well, after drinking all that juice, you get all this extra energy anyway, so it doesn't matter. It balances out, right?
Yeah, well, not at first. That's the thing. So the easiest way you can do it, the best / easiest way you can do it, is to find something like that is to juice, and so what you're getting is all these vegetables that you weren't eating before when you were eating cheeseburgers and
How many
Taco
times
Bell.
a day do you drink this juice? The first.
So when I did it 2 times a day.
Okay.
If I had to do it again, I would still do it 2 times a day, but I would do it breakfast and dinner. So what I did was I did juice twice a day, one in the morning, one in the afternoon, and then I basically ate whatever the fuck I wanted for dinner.
Uh-huh.
I didn't go overboard, but any kind of thing that I wanted, I would eat.
Yeah.
If I had to do it over again, I would basically do kind of the same thing, but I would just eat at lunch instead.
Why lunch?
Because I think it would be more important to give my body food in the middle of the day when I still had stuff to do. Yeah, instead of right in the middle of the night when at night when
right before bed, and then you gotta metabolize that shit while you're sleeping still.
Right.
Part of the program.
Yeah, that's going to be the worst part is washing the juicer. If you can deal with washing a juicer, I mean that's going to be the worst part. And washing a juicer and just like dealing with feeling hungry for a couple days while your body starts.
Yeah.
Getting used to you giving it proper nutrition rather than the shit that you've been giving it. So what happens is that, like after about 4 or 5 days, you'll stop being hungry after you drink the juice, and instead of craving the shit that you used to eat before, you'll start craving actual nutrition because your body's starting to get used to giving it actual stuff, and then.
So don't be afraid of your feelings, Kevin. When you start feeling hungry for the first couple of days, you don't have to go try to fill up the hole. You just power through. You got will. You got a plan. You got purpose.
And here's another thing. If you really can't get away from drive-thru, if you just got to go fucking have fast food, I don't want to endorse this fast food company necessarily, but this is a trick that I used while I was juicing as well. Panda Express.
Oh.
And I would get, instead of the chow mein or the fried rice, I would get the vegetable medley.
Whoa.
With the steamed, it's just like steamed vegetables.
Didn't even know they had a third option.
Yeah, you can get just vegetables, and then you can get like side thing with just like double chicken teriyaki with the sauce on the side, so you don't have all the sugary sauce on it. So it's just grilled chicken and vegetables in it's about like $6-7, I think. Or whatever.
Now, are you watching the salt at this point too, or do you use it?
Not so much right now.
I get my blood work done by my doctor. My sodium levels are all right. My cholesterol's all right.
Cool.
I don't go nuts with the salt, but I don't avoid it.
Like, you're not afraid of it if you feel like your food might be a little blander than what you're used to, especially during a transition, going from fucking fast food drive-thrus to something more along those lines that you're talking about, like more unadulterated food, like a vegetable, steamed, cooked, a piece of meat, a chicken breast, kind of baked or whatever, not fried. You know what I'm saying? The healthier option that isn't as, it's not as fascinating, maybe right at the first look on your palate. So you're not afraid of the salt, then maybe a little, or seasonings to
no.
Want to avoid.
To me, I'm not. To me, I mean, unless I have some. I have a little bit of high blood pressure. I guess.
Yeah.
It's like slightly high, and I think they watch that. I just don't think I would have to take.
What kind of stuff can you season your stuff with? Like, what kind of sauces are good? What kind of sauces are bad? You mentioned sauces that are like sugary and gross. I never really thought about it before.
Well, sweet sauces like teriyaki. I mean, that was the one because that chicken that you get at the Panda Express is the chicken teriyaki.
Even their like orange chicken, all that stuff is like slathered in something with a lot of sugar in it, probably.
Yeah, orange by itself. I mean, orange is a pretty sugary fruit, but yeah. I mean, you know what the healthy option is. It's the not sweet, the not If you're let's see, this anonymous person says they're a lazy fat person. I mean, so if you're fat,
it's Kevin.
so if you're fat, you don't want to eat a whole lot of starches. Starches and sugar, the carbs. You want to start cutting back on those. You don't necessarily want to just cut them out completely. You just like back your body into a corner. You want to cut down a little bit. Maybe
too
a little bit at a time.
Will send you into some kind of shock.
Yeah. So I mean, just be reasonable with that. What I do is like, because I'm trying to cut weight too. What I do is I eat boiled chicken. I do chicken and nuts in the morning. Boiled chicken
and nuts.
Yeah, boiled chicken is super easy. Boiled chicken is like one of the easiest thing. It's just 15 minutes with a chicken breast in the pot. Bam, you're done.
How long does it take to pluck the thing before you get it in the water?
Well, if you strangle it at like 6 a.m., then you can.
It's in the water
I usually
by
get
9,
in the water by 9. Yeah, so
right, that's what I was thinking. That's not too bad.
No, I get packs of just chicken breast, like skinless chicken breasts from Fred Meyer or whatever, and just like throw them in one at a time. They take 15 minutes.
See that, Kevin? The easy way. You can just go buy it at the store. It's already butchered for you.
And that is a super easy thing to do to lose weight. It's not necessarily. I mean, if you're looking to get into just better nutrition, I would definitely recommend starting with juicing because you'll still lose weight and but you'll be giving your body exactly what it needs. So just lots of vegetables.
Start by cutting out the bullshit, right?
People need to eat vegetables way more than they do because it's really hard to eat vegetables. It's
if you're not used to
it.
Is. Yeah, if
you're not used to it, but even the amount of vegetables one person really would have to eat to get that's an intense amount.
When you cook for yourself, you're more prone to just make the main course because you're kind of like, I want steaks or I want a burger, and then you make that. That's a lot of work.
Yeah,
you don't really think always.
And it's just a lot of work anyway, having to wash and
make
chop
an extra dish,
a
vegetable dish.
Yeah, I understand that. But
something to be said for like hippies do it. They just cook a whole shitload of something.
But so what I'm doing right now is I eat boiled chicken breasts and nuts in the morning, and you boil them with just like either in broth or like just whatever kind of spices you want in there to make it taste like whatever the fuck you want. And then I take this stuff called Green Vibrance from Vibrant Health.
Is that why you're looking so green and vibrant?
Yeah. Well, so what it is, it's like this stuff that's like, it's a supplement. It's if you can't get the greens, if you've got a busy lifestyle, and you don't have the time to chop up vegetables and shit. It's this powder that you keep in the freezer.
It's like the ultra potent, like 4X.
Yeah, it's like powdered. It's all this vegetable stuff plus a bunch of like probiotics and a bunch of immune supporting kind of things. And
for a guy like Kevin who does not pay too much attention to nutrition, what's quickest way to what's a probiotic? I mean, that's a
beneficial bacteria for your body that do different things like help you digest food, things like acidophilus that go all over your skin and help you fight infections and stuff like that. Probiotics for your immune system to help to kill off bad bacteria that get into your body. All kinds of shit. I mean, there's all bacteria is awesome. Bacteria is mostly beneficial. There's so many more beneficial bacteria than there are shitty bacteria in the world.
There's so many more bacteria than there are people in the world.
Yeah, that's true too. But yeah, and it's all and most of it's good. I mean, we are made up of a good percentage of bacteria.
We've got civilizations within us, Kevin.
Yeah,
fascinating.
And
stuff.
Probiotics are definitely good. They help you, absorb nutrition that you need easier because your body is probably not used to getting the nutrition that it needs. It's just used to dealing with the crap that you've been giving it for years and giving you that fat gut, you lazy ass.
Shit, Kevin. Before it's too late, man.
You said it, not me. Lazy fat person.
Yeah, damn, dude.
You're too hard on yourself, man.
I got fat too, my friend.
Did you?
I was telling you I was on some medication for a while there.
Oh yeah.
And it's for pain and stuff. And yeah, those kind of medications, those opiates, give you a sweet tooth, man. I don't know what, it's like a common thing. See, like junkies eating candy all the time and shit. But yeah, no, I ate so much fucking candy, and I just I kind of got a little bit numb. Not enough to notice though, but over time I gained a lot of weight. Like I got bigger. I looked at myself and I don't look good with weight on me, like at all. In fact, I look offensive. My body type, because I'm really tall and gangly. Yeah, it's not good looking. You just laid off the bullshit, and that's a big move, isn't it? Like, it's a big move not to, like, actively eat something. I mean, it might be more difficult to find the things that are good and right, and that might take more time to develop yourself into where your patterns are such that you're constantly putting things in that are the right things. But at first, I mean, the easiest thing to do, right, would be just start to go, oh, fuck that thing. I used to eat you all the time, and I thought you were delicious, but, you don't do good things to me. Yeah. That kind of shit, right?
Yeah, I mean... I think it depends on where you are. Like, because if you're in a spot where you're going to different kinds of restaurants or things like, if you're eating out a lot, but you're at least going to places to sit down and at least serve some kind of healthy option, like then you're maybe in a position to be able to make the healthy choice. But if you're in a zone where you're just going to the McDonald's drive-through every time you're hungry, which a lot of people really are, like there's people out there that just that solely live on drive-through food.
Yeah.
And it's just I've been there, It's not even because I wanted to, because it worked or whatever. And
I've done that shit too. I mean, I had a driving job. It was like that. Like, what the fuck are you gonna do? You don't have time to really take time out between appointments or whatever. And
exactly.
And you're fucking hungry, and it's like $8.
Yeah, so if all you're used to doing is going to the drive-thru, you don't have a healthy option because there is no healthy option at the McDonald's drive-thru.
No, but if the night before you'd thought ahead and gone to the store and bought a few things, and
right? But that's I think that even that is a bit much of a life change for some people. To be able to just like they see that as a very insurmountable kind of mountain.
Really?
Yeah.
Just they can't even like.
I mean, I know.
Get a lot of one thing, like make a bunch of chili and just put it in a fucking thermos or something. With beans, vegetables, whatever, something.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. That's a lot of work for some people too. I think that's
buy a chili, a big or whatever. I don't know. Make is maybe harder. How do you get something healthy and have it, man? It is hard, isn't it?
So, like I said, juice, and that's how I did it. Juice, it was easy because then I could just get big bags of carrots and all that stuff from Costco.
Juice. When I think juice, I think of sweet sweet fruit juice. But what you're describing is
I'm trying to mostly vegetables.
It's juice with a capital J. It's like very specifically
lots of kale and lots of
substance
spinach
and shit. There's texture maybe to it at all, or
a little bit. Hopefully not.
Are you getting rid of all the pulp from this? Like all the actual fibers?
Yeah. That's what
plant
juice
matter. Isn't that a lot of the shit that's good for you in vegetables?
Yeah, you definitely get more if you ate a lot of it, a lot of the fiber. But I mean, the thing that you really need, I mean, if you're really just looking to get your body used to getting nutrition as opposed to craving, if you're looking to get your body to stop craving crap and just start craving what you really should be eating anyway, you want to get the nutrition that the vegetables provide, and it's just. The bottom line is it's just some people just aren't going to eat those vegetables because that's just not what they're used to eating. So
for the first couple of days, are you able to stop shitting constantly when you just go straight from?
I didn't have any bowel problems at all.
Really?
Yeah.
All right, cool. That's good. That's good to know, Kevin. You don't have to worry about that.
So yeah, Anonymous.
It's Kevin. Just cut the bullshit. You can't be afraid, Kevin. Everyone already knows. Everyone already knows, dude.
Everyone calls you fat.
Hey, but here's the thing, Kevin. Here's the fucking beauty of it. Everyone knows, but we love you anyway. We accept you anyways. We believe in you, dude. No one ever thought bad of you. We just thought, shit, man. Too bad for Kevin. Hope he gets his shit together. He can do it, though. We believe in him, right?
Oh, yeah, I believe in Kevin.
Yeah.
Or Anonymous.
Yeah.
So yeah. And to sum up, juice. My recommendation: juicing is better because it'll get you get you used to all the vitamins and shit that you need, and then once you do that, and you'll start being hungry for the juice, and then you'll be like, I want a glass of juice, and then that'll turn into, man, I want a big pile of vegetables. That sounds delicious.
Cut to 2 months later, and it's like, I need to do 20 more diamond push-ups.
And then pounds, especially at first, will just fly off. Mm-hmm. If you're fat and then you start eating right, you'll lose weight right away.
Oh, then there's that other phase that happens. Plateau for a while.
Yeah, you plateau.
That last stretch, it's like, what the
takes
fuck?
for fucking ever.
It's like, it's almost as if you feel like, what am I doing wrong? I'm a fucking fat ass. Like, what the hell?
Yeah, and when you plateau, you either need to. The other part to the getting healthy thing is that you got to exercise.
Yeah,
Yeah, and so especially losing weight, cardio is going to be important.
Exercise is easy. I mean, if you're already listening to podcasts, that means that it's it's kind of hard to sit and listen to a podcast. If you take a walk, what better thing to fucking do than listen to your favorite fucking podcast?
Yeah, no. When I walk Tofu, my dog, I listen to podcasts on my phone.
Yeah, if you have an animal, that's the absolute easy way to get into that.
Yeah.
Or if you know someone that does and you can go with them or something.
But you know what? I feel not wanting to go walk because it seems like kind of even getting up and going out. I mean, you should break through that.
Yeah,
you should definitely break through that.
Yeah,
because that that thing that tells you, I don't want to go walk somewhere. That's just pointless. Or, that is that voice that we were talking about.
That's depression, dude. That's depression. And it's lack of fucking self-respect and self-confidence, man.
It's fucking demon in your head.
Yeah.
It's telling you to do bad stuff. It's the fucking devil.
Yeah.
It's just...
If you've ever gotten mad at someone for causing you pain or undue or unnecessary fucking misery, and especially if they took pleasure in it or something like that, and you felt like they were wrong and they shouldn't have done that, well, dude, when you're fucking running around talking yourself out of doing the thing that would be good for you like that, to the point where you're about to do it, you had planned on doing it, you already decided to do it, but then at the last few minutes of it, you're like, oh, what's the fucking point? And you let yourself not do it, man. You're being that person that's fucking you over. And so, get your shit together.
Yeah.
Get your head in check.
Yeah. And that is the unfortunate sort of realization that a lot of people don't get past, is that it's all in your head, and it's all this kind of thing that you've got to get over. And
it's a matter of make a plan and just absolutely stick to it. It's in stone. Find a way to make it in stone. If writing it down doesn't work, if thinking it doesn't work, then write it down. If writing it down doesn't work, write it down and put it on a wall, so it's not only you can see it, but others can see it. If telling someone that you know and see a lot, if that helps, that also might make you feel shittier if you tell people you're going to do it and you don't. It might make you feel like even more of a failure and make you more scared to try.
Yeah.
Right? But there's got to be a system you can devise to trick your own bullshit. It's what you got to do is you can figure out your bullshit's pattern, and sneak up ahead of it.
And I guarantee you will have a lot easier time getting over that shit if you eat right. It sounds,
dude, making any move, cheesy. Right? Any move that you make, that's going to be one of the things that helps that shit. Whether it's I'm going to start working out, or I'm going to quit smoking, or I'm going to start eating fucking healthier, and quit eating bullshit. Whatever move it is that you make, man, it's the other ones start to come easier as long as you believe in that one and push through that initial get momentum, right?
Yeah,
momentum,
well, and nutrition especially is because that directly affects the way you feel and how you approach things. I mean, it affects your mental state directly. How you eat does. And
the proper balance.
If you're going around eating crap, you're going around feeling like crap all the time,
bogging yourself down.
Yeah, and it's really hard to push through things when you can't even push through your own mind.
Fuck yeah.
That just fog that weighs
Dude,
you down.
Your moods change a lot too because of that. You get a lot probably more dependent on that fucking swing up and down and shit. And then also when you're down or whatever, you're probably
because when
can't even think.
When you're eating crap, when you're eating a lot of things like sugar and shit with bread, burgers and stuff, and you're eating what you're doing is you're spiking your blood sugar really quickly, your blood sugar goes up and then it crashes, and then it goes up and then it crashes. That's what you eating does, and
absolutely changes your mood.
Yeah, and it's going to give you diabetes someday.
That too,
it absolutely changes your mood,
and it enslaves your whole personality changes with your moods.
Your whole personality, your whole body, it becomes you are what you eat in a sense. It's cliche, but
get extremely enraged and angry in a car. It's in road rage style, and try to do a fucking math problem that you could do any other time. Your whole fucking Your whole system changes. Your whole mental.
You're so preoccupied with something else.
Yeah, that whatever it is. Yeah, moods completely affect who you are, man. So like, for you to have be in a habit of talking yourself out of things like that, then it might be sugar could be a huge part of that, man. Plus, that's one little move that if you actually can make and power through that first part. What's that expression? That old fucking whatever wisdom thing about like comparing the thoughts that you have like that to a bunch of birds, right? It's like a meditation thing, and they say like you're feeding the birds all the time. Like, yeah, it's okay to have the thought or the feeling. Yeah, of course, when you're about to go for the first time or the first 2 or 3 times you're going to go for a walk or do whatever the fuck it is, and you start to have that voice, right? Mm-hmm. You can't help that. That's the thing. It's the pattern. It's there. Whatever. That's the birds coming, right? But you don't feed the fucking thing. You don't start to go, yeah, fucking A, man, this does suck. Yeah, this fucking sucks. You don't say it. You don't fucking actually think it all the way in your intent, in your voice, and in your heart. You don't think it. You hear it coming in your head, and you're like, yeah, I know, but whatever, fuck you. You just get your shoes on. And, it's that thing. You don't feed the fucking birds. And they say that, like, right when you cut them off, when you finally stop feeding them, they fucking flip out, and they fucking start, like, swarming on you and fucking pecking at you, and it gets worse for a little bit. They flip out, but then eventually they realize like, there's nothing here. There's no food here, so they split. Right. It's not a source of food anymore.
Yeah, that's a good way to think about it.
At some point, you're at a place where you can actually hear yourself when you talk to yourself on purpose. You got to expect that initial part to be a bit of a turbulent push, and the turbulence is going to be in the form of all the negative backfeeding and shit.
Yeah, but the more things that you get over, the more things that you can do, the more of these obstacles that you overcome, it becomes fun. It stops becoming an obstacle.
Momentum, dude. Again, back to momentum.
Exactly.
It's totally momentum.
It becomes a thing that you want to do and that feels good.